Guys, it actually happened. Last night the US dropped a few bombs on Iran, hitting some important targets. We're going to take a detailed look at this. Shortly after, there was also a speech by Donald Trump, which I've summarized for you. Donald Trump has also officially confirmed this. We'll go through the live news to see what the current situation is. And not only that, what's happening now in the crypto market. I still have a few long positions open, but I will secure them. And not only that, trading bots. I've already mentioned it in the Telegram group. I still have one open here. Another one is at a loss here. But I've also closed two others. I go through the reasons with you and also show you what my strategy is with this. And of course, we'll also go through the market itself, because right now things aren't looking so good for Bitcoin. It's also Sunday. We'll also see how the exchanges react to this on Monday. We'll also take a look at Ethereum. With Ethereum, you can see here, twice now it's fallen below a rising support, but we've seen the same thing with Solana, which isn't great since we've now broken through this demand zone to the downside. And unfortunately, it looks the same for XLP. In the last video, I talked about how we shouldn't break below this support zone, but that's exactly what happened here. And right now, that doesn't look ideal. We'll see if this price drop that happened was already enough for us to say that the correction can come. But with what's happening in the market right now, especially with the new news coming in, we should probably hold back for the time being. A quick summary of what happened overnight. The US attacked 3 nuclear targets in Iran. All of this was done in cooperation with Israel. However, Iran itself says that nothing significant was destroyed and that the surrounding areas were not affected. However, the UN chief says that this could lead to a dangerous escalation. And there are also some updates from Yemen on X saying that this must have consequences. Shortly after, Donald Trump gave a speech at the White House, which I have summarized for you. They told him that 3 facilities were hit, many targets remain, but the most critical ones have now been destroyed. What is certain is that highly destructive weapons were being built there. No military in the world could have accomplished this, not even close. Future attacks will also be many times easier. And now we can talk about peace. He also emphasized that Iran is said to be the #1 supporter of terrorism, which has led to hundreds of thousands of deaths worldwide, including thousands of Americans. And that's what he cannot accept. At the end, he also thanked Israel for the cooperation, and then this conversation was more or less over, since the statement actually lasted only 2 minutes. In the meantime, news keeps coming in. For example, Iran has just said that the US attacks will have consequences, and that they will by no means let this go unanswered. They had already mentioned this before as well, that an attack by the US will certainly not be simply tolerated. At this point, it also appears that, as we can see here, 2 minutes ago Israel said that new drones are coming from the east, which is probably the response to the US attacks on Iran, so that now Iran is launching new attacks. But enough of this news for now, because for us in the crypto space, what's most important is what happens to the price now. For that, I'll quickly switch over to my chart. Let's go through this in detail. As we can see here, the $100,000 mark was not reached. Looking at Bitcoin, you can see a liquidation heat map in the 3-day range. We've now built up some new long orders at the bottom, but these have liquidations up to $99,350. But if we compare this with the 3-month liquidation heat map, we can see that this cluster here from $100,300 down to $99,000 still hasn't been tapped. And now that we're so close, it could actually be taken out with a single wick. Then we could check it off the list. Of course, if things escalate further, guys, we could also fall below this price range. But for the market makers, it would be easy to target this price range for now. And if you look at Bitcoin now, especially when you compare it with the news, we broke down from this ascending trend here, retested it, and now we've even fallen below this key level, which is currently acting as resistance. Previously, this had always served as support. At the moment, we have to see if this really turns out to be a resistance. Our next key level would be in this price range. I've included this here for you, which would be the $99,000 where we could be heading. If we also look at this with the VPVR and zoom out a bit, I'll switch to the daily chart so you can see it better. We've unfortunately just broken below a strong volume support. And on the daily chart, so that we also include this last high before the correction, you can see that the largest volume is above us, and unfortunately the price is currently below us. The next volume block that gets a bit larger would be at 100,000, or actually just below that at around $99,000, where we could find support again, which is exactly this key level here. Now I can add a bit more color to this. You can see it here. This is exactly the price range from the past that should actually serve as support, because our volume is also here. So I don't really see us just crashing straight down through this area with the price. Unless there is actually a massive escalation now in the war situation, but We can't say that in advance right now. Personally, I would still be cautious with longs at the moment, just being honest with you. But let's also take a look at Ethereum. Unfortunately, Ethereum isn't looking so good at the moment either. We've also broken down out of this ascending trend here. Not only that, you can also see this other white line we have here. That's actually an ascending trend line that we've had since, I believe, June 2022, which has served as support the entire time. Here, it was once resistance, and now with this last daily candle that we see here, we've actually tested it, wicked just below it, closed above it, had a small pump upwards, and now it's currently acting as resistance, where the price could continue to move down. Of course, we really have to wait and see. Maybe there will be peace talks now and Iran will say, okay, we'll just accept it as it is, but I don't really believe that. That's why we have to react to it. We'll see all of this in more detail at the market opening tomorrow. We'll also see what is BlackRock going to do. Will BlackRock's clients say, hey, I want to cash out now because the bitcoins that were bought here, I want to take on less risk. We don't know what will happen in world events now. But what we also have now, which is important, is exactly this key level for Ethereum. Here too, I'll add a bit more detail about where we currently stand, and it would be very, very important to hold this level. The only thing that's bothering me about Ethereum right now is that we've just lost these two candles, which for me was the last major good support. We've now broken below that as well with a small retest. We really have to see how things develop from here. Here at this yellow line at $2,100, maybe I'll make it a bit thicker so you can see it better. We've had these wicks twice. Previously, this was resistance, then it regularly acted as support with very quick sell-off candles. Here it was resistance again, and this could actually now serve as our price target. I wouldn't really like the 2097 level because where are my trading positions? For Ethereum, my entry was at 2,105, so I would have to see how I react there. I've already realized just under $4,000 now, there's still $1,298 in profit left in it. Despite everything, I would actually only look at the lower levels to see whether I might scale my position or close it and wait for lower prices. My Bitcoin position is currently only $260 in profit with 1,847 realized here. But for USDT, I'm waiting there are buy positions at $100,000. I would also add to those at $99,000 because of this liquidation zone and then see how things develop from there. Those would be my next long positions that I would build up. Unless we see some good news here now, in which case I might say I get in earlier. My trading bots, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, one is still in profit, the other is at a loss, but that's not a problem at all. These are spot repurchases, not liquidations. There have only been 32 repurchases so far, but I have closed 2 trading bots. One with $20, that was early this morning. You can see it here on the 22nd of June. I woke up just after 4 in the morning my time. And the second one here I also closed with $74 profit. That means overall I simply generated profit. But why did I close these 2 trading bots which had almost $10,000 in margin in them? I want that in the worst case, should there actually be an ultimate escalation in the market, I want to either double the position of this bot, which is $5,000 in size, if we have 50 safety orders, or even further down, or simply increase my safety orders here from 50 to 80 or 90 in order to lower my average purchase price. I'll decide on that later and of course keep you updated on Telegram, but I really want to go risk off here. I don't want to risk too much here when we don't know how things will develop because new news is coming in all the time now. You can see something new coming in again just a minute ago. And that's basically how it's been the whole time. Cuba, Chile, Mexico, Venezuela, slam US attack on Iran. And yeah, I don't really want to say too much more about it right now. It's not okay maybe what happened here. What's really behind this, why this attack happened, I also don't think it's right that the US is now interfering. Because actually it was said that we would end wars, yes, with the election of Donald Trump. And what happened? Now we have even more wars and even the US has gotten involved again. Leave a like, yeah, and subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.